A mechanical heart, beating 8 times a second. That's 28.800 vibrations per hour. A miniature engine running with no battery, but what gives it life? This is a mechanical marvel. A living ecosystem of over 200 meticulously crafted parts. But to see its soul, we must peel back the sapphire crystal and look beneath the surface. We find 4 core systems: the mainspring, its muscle; the gear train, its skeleton; the rotor, its lungs; and the escapement, its beating heart. To understand the harmony, we must first deconstruct it. A ballet of micro-engineering. It starts with energy. The rotor, yellow, captures your every motion, winding the mainspring, a steel ribbon storing over 50 hours of potential power. This raw power, blue, is then transferred through the gear train, a cascade of precisely cut wheels. And it all flows, red, to the regulatory organ, the balance wheel and escapement assembly. So, how do we begin the cycle? It starts at the crown. A manual wind, yellow arrow. You can almost feel the tension building in the mainspring. Or, let life do the work. The slightest movement spins the rotor, feeding the machine. And now, the release. In 0.5x slow motion, the mainspring uncoils, delivering controlled, relentless torque. That torque flows, blue, from the barrel to the center wheel. Accelerating, multiplying. As the gears shrink, the velocity increases exponentially. It wants to spin free, but this high-speed energy is violently stopped by the pallet fork. This synthetic ruby, red, locks a tooth. This is the tick. But this lock isn't just a break. The opposite jewel gives a precise, microscopic kick, an impulse, to the balance wheel. This single impulse is what keeps the balance wheel oscillating, guided by the flawless, microns thin hairspring, blue. The wheel swings back, kicking the pallet fork, which unlocks the mechanism for a fraction of a second. This is the tock. This perfect, rhythmic dance, tick-tock, is what meters out time, driving the hands in perfect synchronization. A standard movement beats at 21.600 bph. That's 6 ticks per second. You can see the slight stutter. But a high beat, at 36.000 bph is smoother, 10 ticks per second. A higher frequency, demanding absolute precision. From over 200 individual parts, a symphony of steel, brass, and 21 jewels. A single, harmonious machine is born, a soul on your wrist, measuring every moment. But seeing this finished marvel is only half the story. We understand how it works, but not how it's born. This is the birth of a mechanical watch, how it evolves from raw, cold steel, into a living timepiece. As the finished watch rewinds into raw metal, we return to the very beginning, where all precision starts with a single block of 316L stainless steel. This block, density 7.99 grams per cc, rotates in the artisan's hands as he inspects its purity and machining potential. Under magnification, the microscopic grain of the steel reveals the uniform molecular structure required for micron-level accuracy. The artisan marks each cut line with exacting geometry, every stroke defining future tolerances within 0.01 millimeters. Light glides across the polished surface, exposing subtle reflections that predict how the metal will respond under CNC stress. Around it lie the chosen alloys: steel, copper, brass, each selected for a specific mechanical behavior and thermal coefficient. Nearby, a flawless sapphire crystal awaits, at 9 on the Mohs scale. It's second only to diamond in hardness. A strip of full-grain leather enters frame, the future strap whose fibers will age gracefully over decades. All materials gather on the workbench, raw, untouched, quietly preparing to become a fully functional mechanical instrument. The artisan arranges his tools: micrometer, tweezers, calipers, precision instruments for a precision craft. Metal dust drifts through a warm beam of light, a quiet reminder of how every watch begins with controlled chaos. The steel block is positioned onto the vise, locked perfectly flat to prevent any deviation during the first cut. The camera glides across the lineup of materials, connecting each element to its role in the final mechanism. A spark of light dances across the steel, foreshadowing the machining forces that will soon carve its identity. The view tightens on the block's center as the journey accelerates toward its first transformation, CNC machining. As the CNC machine powers up, coolant floods the spinning steel block, an industrial symphony marking the beginning of transformation. Coolant streams rush over the rotating surface, stabilizing temperature as the steel approaches machining tolerance. The first cut ignites a burst of sparks, each one carving geometry measured in hundredths of a millimeter. A robotic arm changes the cutting tool with perfect alignment, automation made to serve human precision. Metal chips curl into perfect spirals, evidence of ideal feed rate and cutting pressure at work. A cool mist drifts through the chamber as the steel cools, preventing micro-fractures during high-speed rotation. A red laser aligns the toolpath, ensuring every trajectory follows the CAD profile with exact mathematical accuracy. On the control panel, RPM and feed rate data stream in real time, 7.200 RPM, 0.04 millimeters per pass, calibrated for surgical machining. The artisan confirms micron accuracy using a digital caliper, verifying the cut within a tolerance of plus or minus 0.01 millimeters. A droplet of oil lands perfectly on the rotating steel, reducing friction and extending tool life by precise lubrication. Inside the CNC chamber, the camera follows the cutting head as it sculpts the watch case from raw metal. Slowly, the rough case shape emerges, a glimpse of the form hidden inside the 316L steel block. A final polishing pass smooths the surface, creating the first hints of luxury-grade reflection. A micrometer reading confirms engineering perfection. The dimension matches the blueprint with flawless consistency. The drill mills the inner cavity where future gears will sit, establishing the mechanical heart of the watch. The artisan brushes away metal shavings, revealing crisp edges and clean contours shaped by precision mathematics. A wide view shows multiple CNC units working in harmony, industrial engineering operating at peak efficiency. Finally, the artisan lifts the newly machined case, still warm, marking the end of fabrication and the beginning of gear making. A small brass blank is secured on the micro lathe, its diameter precisely measured to become the heart of a future gear. The first tooth is milled, and the rhythm begins, each cut forming geometry accurate within a few microns. Up close, the fine pattern of emerging teeth reveals the mathematical symmetry required for perfect torque transfer. Metal dust curls into flawless spirals, proof that feed rate and pressure are perfectly calibrated. The gear is polished with a felt wheel, bringing clarity to each tooth and reducing surface friction dramatically. Through the loop, the watchmaker studies reflections across the brass, verifying uniformity along every edge. On a precision lathe, a steel axle is turned down to a diameter thinner than a human hair. The gear slides onto the axle with zero lateral play, an alignment so perfect it needs no correction. Multiple finished gears rest in order, forming the kinetic language that will later power the entire mechanism. A sheet of steel is cut into rough blanks, marking the beginning of the watch hand's transformation. Each hand is shaped by file, its contours refined with the same discipline used in classical Swiss ateliers. Polishing reveals a mirror finish capable of catching even the faintest glimmer of light. A gentle heat treatment follows, turning the steel a rich tempered blue at precisely 290 degrees Celsius. At the base of each hand, the tiniest engraved logo claims its identity in the finished timepiece. Side by side, the hands are aligned to ensure identical length, weight, and balance. Gears, axles, and hands gather together, a complete mechanical vocabulary awaiting assembly. A sweep of golden reflection glides across the metal, signaling the transition to the movement build. The watchmaker's hands gently cover the components. The gear-making stage concludes with quiet satisfaction. The movement begins with the main plate, carefully placed under the microscope, becoming the foundation for every mechanical function. Tiny polished screws are sorted with tweezers, each one no larger than a grain of sand yet essential for structural integrity. A precise droplet of synthetic oil falls into the jewel hole, measured in thousandths of a milliliter to control friction. Jewel bearings are pressed into place, their synthetic ruby surfaces designed to reduce wear over millions of oscillations. The wheel bridge is lowered with perfect alignment, fixing the architecture of the gear train. One by one, the gears drop into position, their teeth meshing with mathematical symmetry. The pallet fork slides between its ruby jewels, the component responsible for dividing energy into perfect rhythm. The escapement wheel is nudged into alignment, setting the geometry that will dictate the watch's beat rate. A tiny shock absorber spring clicks into place, protecting the balance staff from sudden impact. The balance wheel is mounted, a delicate disc where precision determines time itself. Its first oscillation begins, a heartbeat measured at 21.600 vibrations per hour. The mainspring barrel is fitted into the plate, storing up to 42 hours of power reserve. The center wheel is lowered with a steady hand, ensuring smooth transfer of torque through the motion train. The keyless works are assembled, forming the mechanism that allows the crown to wind and set the time. A miniature date gear slides into its slot, completing the calendar system with satisfying precision. Each screw is tightened to exact torque, securing the movement's skeletal architecture. In the artisan's glasses, the spinning balance wheel reflects like a tiny engine in motion. The bridges are polished clean, revealing brushed grain and crisp chamfers along each edge. The assembled movement is rotated slowly to verify flawless gear engagement. For the first time, the watch ticks, soft, steady, alive. The crown stem is inserted and tested, confirming smooth winding and reliable clutch engagement. The dial feet are fixed firmly under the plate, preparing the movement for its visual identity. The entire mechanism rotates under the macro lens, exposing the full complexity of its engineering. The camera pulls back, revealing the completed assembly, quiet, intricate, ready for the next stage. The watchmaker lifts the movement toward the light, transitioning into the dial and case assembly phase. The artisan begins by carefully cleaning the dial surface, preparing the stage for every element that will define the watch's identity. The dial is lowered onto the movement and aligned with perfect symmetry, its feet matching the plate's geometry to the micron. Tiny screws secure the dial from underneath, locking visual beauty onto mechanical precision. The hour hand is pressed onto the central pinion, seated with force measured in fractions of a newton. The minute hand follows, aligned exactly parallel to the hour hand so both move in flawless harmony. The second hand, lightest of all, is inserted, calibrated to sweep freely with no friction on its axis. A soft brush glides across the dial, removing every last dust particle to ensure a pristine final presentation. The polished 316L steel case is inspected under rotating light, checking for distortion, scratches, or uneven brushing. The completed movement is gently placed into the case, sliding in with a precise toleranced fit. A sapphire caseback is installed and tightened, sealing the mechanism while allowing a full view into its engineering. The crown stem is fitted and tested, confirming smooth winding and a crisp setting engagement. The brand logo is engraved onto the case edge, marking the watch with its final signature of craftsmanship. The case receives a final polish, transforming steel into a mirror-bright surface worthy of luxury. The camera sweeps around the dial, revealing the symmetry of all three hands working together. The watchmaker lifts the assembled piece, its face complete, its identity revealed, ready for final testing. The watch is placed onto the digital timegrapher, where its heartbeat is translated into data for the first time. The screen reveals its accuracy, holding steady within plus or minus 5 seconds per day. A signature of refined mechanical balance. A close microphone captures the rhythmic tick-tock, exposing the movement's internal cadence in pure mechanical form. The regulator lever is adjusted with tweezers, correcting beat error measured in milliseconds. Under the microscope, the balance wheel's amplitude shows healthy oscillation, between 270 and 300 degrees. A gentle tap tests shock resistance. ensuring the escapement remains stable under sudden motion. The watch is fully wound and left to run, beginning the long measurement of its 42-hour power reserve. Inside a pressure chamber, the watch is submerged to confirm its water-resistant seal under controlled pressure. Once removed, the sapphire crystal remains perfectly clear, no fog, no condensation, no compromise. Temperature cycling exposes the watch to cold and warm air, proving its resilience across real-world conditions. The final rate check confirms a consistent tick pattern, smooth, balanced, and remarkably stable. The crown is pulled to test time setting, gliding through its functions with crisp mechanical feedback. The dial is cleaned one last time, removing the final fingerprint before its debut. A wider view reveals multiple watches undergoing parallel tests, an orchestra of precision engineering. The watchmaker lifts the calibrated watch into a warm beam of light, ready for its final reveal. The second hand sweeps across the dial with effortless grace, the pure expression of mechanical life in motion. A gentle turn of the crown sends gears shifting inside, a reminder that every second begins with human touch. Light drifts across the polished dial, revealing textures and reflections shaped by hundreds of hours of craftsmanship. The brand logo catches a warm beam beneath the sapphire, standing proudly as the final signature of the maker. Through the sapphire case back, the rotor turns in a quiet dance, powered only by movement, guided only by precision. The camera circles the watch in full, unveiling its form from every angle, confident, balanced, and unmistakably mechanical. Resting on its leather strap beside the artisan's tools, the watch becomes a symbol of the hands that created it. Up close, the ticking grows intimate, each beat a small declaration of precision engineering. A final sweep of light glides across the dial, igniting a sparkle along the sapphire edge, one last moment of brilliance. As the camera fades into darkness, the watch continues ticking, carrying its new life forward, timeless, patient, and alive.